Hey! I'm an actor.
Hey, I'm an actor too.
We should talk about our feelings and when we're feeling blue, 'cause this industry is hard and the road is long ahead. In this corner of the internet, let's sit and chat instead.
Hey, so, welcome to episode 3 of A
Light on the Stage.
We've got a really awesome guest today, don't we, Hamish?
Oh, I wonder who it is.
I wonder who it is. Oh, it would be you, Kyle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh my God, glad everybody. Oh, amazing. Oh, it's so great to have you on the show, Kyle.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah.
Could you tell us about where your love of performing first began?
Yeah, I started when I was a little kid. My parents got me into piano when I was maybe 6, I want to say, thereabouts, and I was like, man, this is sick. Like, making music was really cool. I liked doing that. I liked performing it more. Like, we'd go and do little recitals, little piano competitions, play my little jazz pieces and stuff. And yeah, I really got a kick out of that. And then back in Canberra, where I grew up, we had Canberra Youth Theatre, which still exists and is fantastic. And I got into that and did a bunch of little like workshops that would always culminate in some kind of performance. And yeah, I think that's where the love of theatre kind of came in, where I was like, man, playing music is great and I still love doing that and do that a lot, but I was like, man, acting out random characters, being like larger than life, being someone else, that was like such a buzz.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that certainly one of my uni lecturers said to me at uni was imagination is an actor's greatest superpower. Yeah, and I think that kind of delved into what you were saying, like that sense of play, is that sense of using our imagination. I think that's a great skill and tool for us to have.
Yeah, I mean, growing up, my brother and I would, as so many kids do, we would just constantly be creating imagined worlds, characters, like acting things out together. I mean, it's when you're a kid, it's not acting or it's nothing, it's just play. It's like, oh, we're going to do this and you're going to be the knight and I'm going to be the dragon or whatever it might be. And we just did that all the time, and I think it feels like a gift to then continue that imagination as like a career. Because I feel like it's not always the way for many people that they get to do that on the day-to-day. Or people like feel like in whatever facet of life they're working in, they feel like they might have to suppress elements of that, or at least they just don't get to nurture it. And so it feels like a real gift to get to actively nurture your creativity and your imagination, and to be encouraged to like live in that space as much as possible.
Yeah. So jumping back to when you said like on top of performing and just joining a bunch of theatres, do you remember any of the shows that you ever did and what roles you played?
I mean, when I was a kid, it was all like the things that we did with Canberra Youth Theatre were like weird little workshops where we would kind of like self-devise works, or we would do works that the lecturers had created, and they'd be like, I was never a kid who grew up being like, hey, I was about to say Annie. That's probably not a role for me in Annie. I was never like, hey, I was in like Oliver Twist or Billy Elliot or something growing up. It was like, I was in that weird play that Hadley, our lecturer, put together. One play I do remember doing though back in Canberra was called Retrieval. And it was like an immersive theatre experience that we put on in the National Library, like all these random floors. That was wild. It was just a bunch of like teenagers at the National Library, like at 10 p.m. at night, devising this weird work in the basement. There was a lot of that, but then I think when it came to doing actual shows, the thing that kind of got me into it was in year 12, I did Chicago in my high school. And I just loved it. I was like, this is cool. This is a musical. Like, this is new to me. And I was like, I think I want to give this kind of thing a go. And then, in fact, did an amateur production of Annie that played one of the adult roles, or like various adult ensemble roles. But yeah, in terms of Canberra, they were my like named shows that I did.
Yeah, and I guess one of the cool things about doing like those shows, like when you're a kid and growing up, is that you form like a family, like you form like this little tight-knit group with each other.
Yeah, we were very lucky in high school. Like, we're a little public school in Canberra, but every year when they would do the musical, everyone would go away on like a camp to like put together the musical as well. And I feel like, I mean, this was in high school, we were all friends anyway, but I feel like the people that were in that show, that was just like, man, this is such a, what's the word, like concentrated melting pot of people who just become like bonded. I really enjoyed that. I still get messages from people from that one show who will be like, oh man, remember this thing? And I'm like, that's sick. Like, we still have that. And then in a professional career going on now, since moving down to Melbourne and studying and then working, I feel like every show I've done, there is some family now. And everyone's off doing whatever other show or, you know, whatever other endeavor they want to do now, but there's always still that thing of like, hey, I can go back to that little family, or I can go to this one, or I'll jump onto another show and here's a new family that I'm going to make for that period. And then, you know, those connections will still be there even if they're like somewhere else for a little while.
Absolutely. And just jump after that, you then went on to study at VCA, or Victorian College of the Arts. Could you give us a little insight as to what the experience was like and how, like, what you learned from studying there?
Yeah, I really came into it feeling like I was late to the game, in the sense that the first musical I did was in year 12. I didn't really know properly how to sing. Like, I knew I was a musician, so I figured out how to sing, but I felt very untrained. I'd done acting work, but no dance. So going into it was a bit of a culture shock of like, wow, this is what it's like to actually be in art school and surrounded by like incredibly talented people. But that institution and the people around there, I felt really nurtured. I felt pushed constantly, especially, I think, with that feeling, that almost imposter syndrome of being like, I feel like people here have been doing shows since they were a fetus. They all know everything and I don't. So I feel like that also, in a way, helped me be like, we gotta push hard. And I felt like the school was supportive of that. It was an environment built on nurturing individualism, or individuality, I should say. So I feel like it was a good way to also figure out what my unique voice is as an artist, and then try and push into that. It was also a hard experience because you come out of high school, and I think many that are going into studying performing arts or any kind of arts might, you know, if you get into an institution, you have to be of a level already, because they're often audition based or, you know, portfolio based. And so you come in feeling like, yeah, great, like I was obviously, you know, talented or skilled enough to get into this place. You also might have been the best in your high school or the best in your kind of little district or whatever it might be, and then you get into this world and you feel like you're just this like little fish in this enormous sea, and everyone all of a sudden is incredible, and it's such a, I think it can be a real blow to the ego to be like, oh, I'm just another one of the very good people. Yeah. All of a sudden the standard goes from, you know, wherever it was before to like, and that's an interesting environment to be a part of, because very quickly you start being like, man, I really sucked today. Like that song was awful, or that scene didn't work. And it can be hard sometimes to then act as an outside observer and be like, what you think is bad is still exceptional by a lot of standards. Yeah. It's just that you've chucked your standards up to the sky now. But I feel like having an environment like that, when you do get to step away and be like, oh, okay, no, we all deserve to be here. This is great. I enjoy doing this. Yes, I'm struggling, or yes, I feel like I'm not doing a good job now, but I'm going to keep pushing. It meant that when you finally get to times where you really feel like you've done great work, it was like, oh yeah, this was worth the struggle.
Yeah, and I think I can say for Hamish and I, we definitely at times went through that when we were at uni, where we would go, like, compare ourselves to others, or have that imposter syndrome, or even go, oh, that scene didn't work today, why didn't it work, and get hard on ourselves. So then it comes to the point where you got to go, nah, just go back to the drawing room and start again, really, and see how we can work our way up. Yeah. And I was just wondering, when you were at VCA, what did you learn about yourself as an artist, or even just like personally, what did you learn about yourself?
I feel like I learned a lot. What I did learn was that I was someone that enjoyed. I mean, we all enjoy doing a good job, and we enjoy getting praise. I found that I wasn't a glutton for punishment, but I felt kind of comfortable absolutely screwing something up and being like, man, that kind of sucked today. Oh well. And so it was good to start to identify that in myself and be like, hey, this is something I should keep trying to nurture, because it's helped me then going forward to be like, damn, I really didn't feel like I did a good job in that audition. That's okay. What did I learn? Or that's all right. Next one will be better.
Yeah.
I also learned that I love locking myself away in a practice room and working on music for hours when maybe I should have been doing more important work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then not long after you graduated, you then went on to star in Come From Away, which is definitely one of the most amazing modern musicals that's been written. And from what I understand, do correct me if I'm wrong, the cast each plays like 3 different characters, 3 different roles. I was wondering if you could just explain to the audience here just what that process was like, and having like 3 separate transitions from character A to character B, character C, and whatnot, just throughout the whole thing, whether that was hectic, and how you learned to just like blend in and get more confident within that.
Yeah, it's definitely, to date, and I've done other shows since, it's still the hardest show I've ever done, and might be for some time. It's, but also I think just one of the most incredible modern musicals, or even plays that have been written. I just love it. But going into it, I was a standby. I had to cover 5 tracks, which each had multiple characters as well. I'm someone that's always really loved playing characters. I love character work. I love making bold offers, random characters, any of that kind of stuff. So that excited me. But yeah, coming in, especially as a standby, having never really done that, like I'd swung on a show before that where I covered 2 roles. It was much smaller scale. So doing like a big professional tour, covering 5 tracks, I was confident enough in my abilities, but I was terrified. I remember the prep work. I spent a long time trying to learn the lines for each of my 5 tracks before day one, because I was like, I don't know how this works. Am I just going to have to watch everything and learn it? Then they were like, oh my God, no, please focus on one, because it's going to be hard. I'm like, okay. And then I remember day one, they just gave us all notebooks, like little pocket-sized ones, and they were like, have this, you're going to need it. And then started detailing everyone's track, where they had to go. If anything, because of this specificity of that show in terms of its choreography, or I guess blocking, like you're constantly like, okay, I'm going to enter from wing 2, I go to left 3, then I have to hand off this remote behind my back to Bonnie, then I cross to here, I grab chair 14 and I wheel it over to here. Like, there's all these steps in your head. Then you're like, oh yeah, I play a character as well during this time. In a way, because of that, like, for who I am, that's all I would have to consciously focus on. I felt like the acting felt instinctual.
Yeah.
But I do think that, especially in a show like that where you're constantly changing, like often, and sometimes the roles that I would have, I'm in a scene, in the Kevin T track, I'm playing Garth, the bus driver who's from Newfoundland. I'm in a heated argument with Claude, the mayor. We do this, we say this, I've just said a line, Claude says a line to the audience, I turn to the crowd and I'm Kevin T, and it's that quick, and all of a sudden I'm in a completely different mindset, different accent, different part of the story. Moments like that were, I think that was the real challenge of the show. It was like, how do you completely embody someone else? How do you flip on a dime and we don't see you like ramping up into the next character? We just feel like they're there. But in a way, I think it was just a muscle that you had to work through the process. You had to know your characters well enough. You didn't want to be too vague about them, because otherwise they just bleed into each other too much. And I think also you just wanted to know exactly in that moment, what do I want? What am I trying to get? Because that way, yeah, the audience doesn't see like this slow, gradual shift. It's like they're watching a movie and all of a sudden it's a new shot. But But I think part of that, the speed of that also helped as an actor, because you just go, there's no time. You can't dwell on the last moment. It's like, you might have even screwed up a line, which, you know, I done on shows, everyone does. You screw something up and you're like, I can't think about it, we got to keep moving. So boom, next scene. And I think the hardship sometimes can be a friend to you.
Yeah. And the thing with Come From Away is, the thing that I love about it is the message of the piece of like helping others, lending a hand, like, you know, reaching out to others. And I feel like particularly in recent times, it couldn't have been more relatable to us as a society. And I was just wondering if you could talk about that with our listeners and also with us as well.
Yeah, it's a show that the Australian version of it, or the Australian tour I should say, lasted for a long time. It popped up pre-COVID and then continued after into 2023. And it was interesting, I joined it in 2021. I watched it twice in 2019, I want to say, when it had first opened here, because I just was enamored with it. And it was interesting to see how that message even shifted, or the feeling of it shifted after going through COVID together. I think if it were to come back now, it is a message that it would take on another entirely new feeling for people. I think we're grounded in what it's about, being about a whole bunch of people going through 9/11, having to survive together, having to lean on community and friends and strangers. I think that in itself is relatable as pertains to that event and just people in general. I think that's why it was so affecting for so many, because they just saw either their own experience during that time in the show, or removed from the event, they just saw this human experience of finding connection through others and helping strangers. I think after going through COVID, which is completely different to the September 11 attacks, but was a collective experience that now we had an intimate experience with, and everyone could kind of find their own experience of isolation wherever they might have been or whatever they were doing during that time. I think then witnessing or being a part of a show that was all about people feeling isolated and then finding connection in other people, people feeling closed off or scared because of whatever reason, and then learning to either confront those biases or open themselves up to new possibilities. I think it just resonated in a different way that felt very current. I think for many it was very essential viewing. It was therapeutic. And as actors doing it, it was really moving. I remember I wasn't on stage for this first one, but we were all there, and I think everyone in the company came and bowed at the end of our first return show in Sydney after being locked down for many months in 2021. We came, there were a lot of healthcare workers were there, because we did a big initiative to get them all to come and see the show for free. And that was really moving, to be like, man, we've all been going through these big things together, and here we are back. We're enjoying, breathing the same air. We're all crying together. We're all laughing together. I think it was just the perfect show to have a message like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And then after Come From Away, you then went on and did Groundhog Day, written by Australia's very own Tim Minchin.
Yeah, shout out to Tim.
Yeah, shout out to Tim if you're listening. Could you explain what it was like working with him, and also sharing the stage with Elise McCann and the great Andy Carl, who you had the pleasure of being Andy's little cameraman?
Yeah, that was a wild show. I think, in fact, had I not done Come From Away, Groundhog would be the hardest show I'd ever done.
Yeah,
it was another just like mind-melting, confusing piece. A different challenge as an actor, because Tim writes incredible stuff that is so uniquely difficult. But I think that's what makes it so exciting to do and to hear and experience. The show itself, it was an interesting experience for me, because I was coming off the back of, or I was rehearsing Groundhog while I was doing A Christmas Carol. And A Christmas Carol was just such an uplifting experience. It was so fun. It was great. I'd go into work every day and just be buoyed by all the people around me, the message, the experience. Loved it. then I'd go into rehearsals with this new group of people who were all really nice, but I'm like, I've just done 7 shows already this week. What day is it? And like, it's day 3 of the loop, of the Groundhog Day loop. And I'm like, okay, so wait, what happens on day 3? It's like all the same things, except this thing happens and this, and you're like, oh yeah, okay. And so that, I think the rehearsal process was just like, and it was a show that I remember hearing people on like the West End who had done it saying like, rehearsals, you might not love it. And then as soon as it starts, it will be the best show you've ever done. And sure enough, as soon as we started performing, I was like, oh my God, I've never had so much fun on stage. Like it was great. I've been lucky to have jobs that I have loved. Like all of them I just loved. But that one I remember like, I'd come to work, be exhausted, I'd be, maybe for whatever reason, I'm just not really in the mood on that day to be doing this band dance number like 8 times and a huge tap routine. And then as soon as we would get there and the lights would go down, I was like, oh, I love this. And like, without fail, every single night, it was the best night. I just loved doing it. Working with Elise and Andy, they're such great, like they're actors. They're like the actor that you want to work alongside because they just endlessly curious. They are, curious is a better word than unsatisfied, but they're not content to go, that was good enough, or like, we got a laugh on that line, that's great. They're the kind of people that are like, I feel like there's something we could do here. Like this, I don't know if I've worked it out yet. And I like being like that myself as much as I can. I love working with people who inspire that in me because especially when you're doing a show for a long time, you want to be constantly curious. You want to be looking for the thing that you've missed. You want to look for that extra dimension to your character or whatever that secret is that you haven't unlocked yet. Or that secret that you might need for the next 2 weeks of shows, and then you've used it up and you go, I need something else. Like, what's going to keep me inspired? And they're just so good at that. It would mean that I, playing alongside them in scenes often, would be like, okay, what is there that I haven't mined in my character? And like Larry had more and less than I thought he did. Like it was a weird one where I'm like, I'm always there, like I'm the other guy. And then I'd be like, is that all I've got? Like on the script. And I'd be like, damn, I thought there was more. And then doing the show, I'd be like, I feel like I'm here a lot. I feel like I'm around a lot. And it's because of them bringing me into the fold and us really feeling like a trio and they being like, sometimes I'm just playing with my camera while they're like talking, but because I'm still trying to find things, it's like, what repetitive movement can I find that will be a nice little Easter egg for the audience as these days repeat? What little moment or what thing do I overhear from a conversation between the two of them? How does that make me feel? It was just I just got constantly pushed by them in the best of ways and brought into the joke always. They were like, what do you think of this? We've got this idea, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, cool. And we'd like workshop things. It was great. I learned a lot from them. I wish to do many more shows with them because they are just the best. The whole cast are like that. They were all constantly hungry for more, hungry for whatever they could mine out of the work, which is already so rich.
I think with Groundhog Day, it's one of those shows where you have a lot of aha moments during it, particularly with the message. Like, I think for me when I saw it, I was like, it made me think of life a little bit more clearer. Instead of going, I don't have to overthink things, it goes, just live life to the fullest and just enjoy every moment no matter what it is. Like particularly the scene when the dodging cars scene with Rita and Phil, all of a sudden I was just like, it's a dodging car, but it's so simple and yet they're so happy. And that was something I really took away from it. And I think for you, with the message, what did you get away from it, like on like living life to the fullest? Because Phil Connors didn't really have that at the start, did he? He's
not a good guy at the start, and he's super jaded. I think for many that feel like they're in a dead-end job or like a dead-end life at that point, can relate. I mean, maybe not everyone would feel like they would act the exact way that he does, and I think the show is brave in the way that it really paints him worse than he is in the movie. It's not afraid to make him much less likable, because then it's just such a long road to get to the point where we connect with him by the end. But I think in a way that's intentional, because it wants to point to the ugliest part of ourselves and go, hey, you might be capable of doing this as well. Or maybe there are parts of your life where you do things like this, or you do act like this, or you see the world through this. There are characters that are specifically meant to be annoying at the start, and they are directed to and written to be annoying, and then as his journey unfolds, or he starts to like them more, you start to ease off the pedal on how annoying you are, so the audience also experiences it like him. And I think to be presented with a world and a character and an outlook like this that is so negative, and then to see even how someone like that can find joy and acceptance in little things, I think that to me was really effective, because I'm someone that really endeavors to go through life being like, man, look at the sky today. Oh, it looks great. Like, tries to notice these little things. In fact, lately there's been a lot of killer sunsets from my balcony, and I'm just like, damn, what a day. But that's not always the case. And sometimes the sky looks magnificent and I'm in the worst mood and I hate that sky, whatever. I think it was a show that made me be like, man, we really do just have this one life that we're going through. It's such a miracle to be here. It is so wonderful to be here. And even on those awful days, like, I think Phil gets to a point where every day is the same. You can't even have tragedy when that's the case. You're in a tragedy, I guess, but mundanity, like, you want to have those highs and lows, and I think for someone to just have experienced everything and be bereft of new experience made me go, oh man, just experiencing each new day, even if it's the worst day of your life, means that you then experience the next day, which might not be, and the next one might be the best, or it might just be great. And I think being presented with the fact that even just new experiences can be enough, like, that is an exciting enough prospect that we're lucky enough to have in life, is that each day isn't Groundhog Day, and each day is something different, whether it be good or bad. So, yeah.
It's beautiful. And jumping back to the other show that you were working on at the same time as Groundhog Day, you were working on A Christmas Carol, one of the most iconic and well-known Charles Dickens plays in the world, especially a Christmas play. I was just wondering if you could tell us a little bit about what that experience was like for you, and working with, was it Owen or?
Yeah, Owen Teal in my first year, and then Eric Thompson.
Yeah, so what was like working with those two, and basically with the whole cast in general, and just working with that Christmas message of just having fun and spending time with your friends and family, and just living life to the fullest, as you mentioned earlier on.
Yeah, I feel like every show I've done is that kind of thing. This could also be why I just love them all, because I'm like, man, they're so nice.
That's me.
Yeah. Oh man, the show, it's beautiful. I will admit, I hadn't read the book growing up. I knew the story. I feel like everyone has some grasp around what the story is. My knowledge was through Scrooge McDuck. So my whole thing was like, yeah, I remember the scene where Scrooge is like swimming through his piles of gold. I know A Christmas Carol. But coming into the actual play, there was a lot of like, oh yeah, that thing. Oh man, I remember this from somewhere in the back of my mind. So there was some like level of nostalgia to it. I think also that play is just so well written. Jack Thorne wrote the book for it, for the play version that we do. And man, it tugs at my heartstrings so much, because I love any kind of memory play, anything to do with somebody looking back on their life with regret. Oh, just cut me open. And I think the fact that it's, people go in going like, oh, Christmas, it's going to be great. It's going to be like really whimsical and fun, and uplifting and happy, and it is eventually. But I feel like the shock of that version of that show is it's really dark. We follow a man who has lost all innocence. He's lost his inner child. He's consumed by greed and paranoia about those around him. He doesn't heed any warnings or help from anyone. And to then have a character like that be forced to live out his past again and to view it, to see opportunities that he had that he squandered, to see the effect on his present life, and then to see what could be his future. Man, I just remember like weeping so many times in the rehearsal room, being like, this is beautiful and so human. Like, I think, you know, a big fear of mine is always that I would be 80 years old and look back and be like, man, if only I had done this, or if only I hadn't done this. Though usually it's more, if only I had done this.
Yeah.
Like, I wish I had just tried that thing. I think the message of the show saying, you know, that could be the reality if you've done all these steps to get where someone like he is. But you can always change tomorrow, I think is so wonderful. And for anyone at any stage of their life is, I think, so poignant and relatable. Like, you know, anyone can watch a show like that and go, yeah, I've got these things that I wish I hadn't done, or maybe I didn't realize the effect of the actions I've taken in my life, and maybe I feel like all hope is lost. Tomorrow I can just as easily try and make amends, or I can move to something new. I can change that. Our two Scrooges, Owen Teale, Eric Thompson, that I worked with, man, they just such masterclasses in acting. I was so excited to work with Owen in the first year because he's a Tony Award-winning actor for A Doll's House, I believe it was, or maybe Doll's House Part 2. He was Alice at Thorne in Game of Thrones. This is how I knew him, so I was terrified of him, being like, this will be the meanest man I've ever met. And he was just the loveliest actor. Another actor's actor where you're like, you're constantly curious. You just want to make this better somehow. You always want to find a different offer each night. But then as a company member was such a good leader where it's like, oh, this is what a leading player should be like. They should not just be an exceptional performer, but they should be a company member and a leader to the cast and the crew and to the creators. They should be someone that we can rally behind to get this show up. That was wonderful. And then this year passed with Eric Thompson. It was so great to work with him because, again, he kind of comes from a different world where he's mainly been working in TV in the last 10 years, but is, again, such a curious actor. He's someone that is so beautifully humble, and I think a person like that is who you need to have to play someone like Scrooge, because he can turn on the gruff, dislikable, evil man, but you want to be able to believe him by the end when you're like, oh no, you're lovely, and he is that. He's such a warm guy that's so lovely to play off. So yeah, it was great working with the two of them, and the whole cast are just, they embody the message of that show. And so, like Groundhog, like Come From Away, every day going into any of those workplaces was the same. I could be feeling down, but then as soon as I'm there, there's this family that have been brought together to do such a lovely show, that want to deliver that message and that embody it in themselves. So you get to work and you're like, oh man, I'm just like enraptured by that, all that goodness.
Yeah, and I think with A Christmas Carol, it's kind of become like a Melbourne Christmas tradition. Like last year was its third year, I think it was. Yeah, and I think one of the other fun elements of the show is that it's got a lot of audience participation, and I saw an interview where one of your cast members doesn't like it so much. However, you're on the other hand, you kind of do like it. Like, what do you like about audience participation?
Yeah, I really love it because and I love it so much that there was some nights or some shows this year where I was covering the mandolin plot just for the pre-show. On those nights, it would mean that I couldn't go out and be amongst the crowd before the show, and I'd instead be on stage. As a musician, it was great because I was jamming with the other musos. We were having fun. And then I was like struck by the fact that when the show began, I just felt like something was missing. And it's because that show, you get to quite literally go and shake hands with the audience and be like, hello, I'm Kaya, welcome to our show, I hope you like it, thanks for coming, what's going on? And you get to like meet the audience in the most literal sense before doing it. And it means that when you start a show, having had done that, I feel like you've broken down this barrier of like, hey, you're down there and we're up here and you're watching us. It feels more like we're all here together, we're doing this collaboratively. You're watching this thing that we're putting on, but like, we're all in this as a group. I think that's why I love it more than anything. I also love doing bits. I love finding whatever's funny. Cam Taylor, who was in the show in the first year and then was in it with me this last time, he's like a legitimate clown, like been hired as a clown in things. And working with him, like, he's just untethered joy and silliness. And so the whole pre-show is like, man, I'm working on this new bit. I've got this new idea. So there's an element of the audience participation that, as someone that loves improvising, loves playing off people, loves doing any kind of bit or trying to like try out new material and see what people like, it's great for that. But I think, this year I was just struck by how much I like having it as the welcome into a show, even or like the warm up as an actor to be like, I'm ready to perform for you guys now because we know each other. Yeah. You're not strangers. You're not the audience. You're like friends, and now
you're going to be part of our world.
Yeah, now come along with each other.
We just offered you mince pie.
Exactly. Yeah. Just throw it in.
Yeah. Well, if you haven't seen it, make sure you go and see it this year when it comes back.
Absolutely.
And you mentioned you're a musician, a songwriter. You're releasing an EP at the moment.
I am.
Yeah. Can you discuss a little bit about it?
Yeah, it's kind of been where my whole head's been for the last little while, which has been great. That's always been a dream, is to like get to actually do a proper run at my own music, because that's how I came into all of this. So it feels quite cyclical, or what's the word? Anyway, it feels like we've come back to the start.
Yeah.
It comes out on the 11th of April. I don't know when this comes out. So it either comes out or it has come out on the 11th of April. And there's 8 tracks on it. 3 of those are kind of either instrumental interludes or like a spoken word piece is one of them. And then there's like 5 songs. I think this EP is very much a product of where I was when I wrote it and recorded it, and I think where I still am in many aspects as an artist and as a person. It blends a few things. It's got a lot of space imagery in it. It's called Belladonna Supernova, and it has a lot of it's got a lot to do with space, because I was just really on this space kick for a bit, where I'd be writing all these new songs and being like, I don't know why I keep writing lyrics that have like vaguely space metaphors in them, but maybe that's a good thing, and maybe I can like lean into that and make a slightly conceptual EP that shares a bit of a through line. It's got that, and then I think from a thematic point of view, it deals often with my feelings as an artist. Either like the opening track or the opening kind of song deals with somebody's relentless pursuit of fame and the consequences of that. And it's all told through metaphor, but like to me it feels like a warning to myself about, hey, this is a tale as old as time of people hungering for fame and recognition and burning out in the process or losing themselves. I then have other songs in there that talk about my own personal frustrations as an artist in times of like stagnation and feeling like, man, I really thought I'd be somewhere by now. Whatever that might be, and it's always like, I wish I'd be further than I was, because it's never enough kind of thing. Yeah. And then there's also kind of the themes of being like, you know what, this could be a terrible idea, this next pursuit, but I'm just going to do it. It might destroy me, but I'm going to go. There's some other like personal notes in there of like a song that I wrote about a relationship that ended, which was a very personal song to write. But then what in a nice, I guess, twist of fate, or another like round little moment. The person who I wrote it about in that relationship, she ended up singing on the track for the EP, and so that felt really nice for us to be like, yeah, here we go. That's like a nice little full circle moment.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of different stuff in there, but it's very much a peek into my brain in this kind of period, and it feels very much a peek into the brain of an artist that is at the start of this next step, this next thing, and trying to figure out who he is as an artist and what he wants.
Yeah.
And I've also heard that you've got a bit of a launch happening later in the month.
I do.
For our listeners out there, and for Hayden and I who are very interested, could you give us some information about where it is, when it's happening, and whether or not tickets are available or
Yes.
are they about to go on sale?
So it's going to happen on the 28th of April. It's at the Paris Cat Jazz Club in Melbourne, a venue that I love, it's just such a good place, such a good room, or rooms there that they have. It'll be me, my full band. We're playing this EP in full, alongside a whole bunch of other fresh Byrne tracks. A lot of stuff that is very likely going to be on the album that might come out in a year. But yeah, I think it's going to be great fun. The last couple weeks has just been me making demos, myself and my producer / drummer Cypress making like charts of everything, really getting everything set up to make it like a banging gig.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're doing it there. It's at 7 p.m. We're playing about an hour and a half of stuff, so it's going to be a huge set, broken up, 2 sets. So it'll feel like a theatre show in a weird way.
Yeah.
Any intermissions? Because
There will be, yeah, which I'm not used to as a musician. That's the way the Paris Cat works. And so we're like, this could work, this could be cool.
Yeah.
The good thing about that is it gives you a chance to be like, oh, that's the act 1, or that's the set 1 closer, like, and then that's the opener for set 2. Like, it gives a bit of, I don't know, it helps create a bit of dynamic within all of it, which I really enjoy. Or a bit of storyline in a way to the gig. The tickets are available now at the Paris Cat website, or you can go to kayabyrne.com, and there's a link there as well. Yeah, I'm really excited. It's going to be a great band as well. We've got, I can, yeah, some people are confirmed now that I can, like, we've got myself, we've got my drummer Cypress, my bass player, who I met outside this building by chance on the way in,
Really?
James Shortland is going to be playing, Will Gisbers is playing on guitar, special guest Carla Gare is going to be playing keys and doing some BVs, and Marty Alex is going to be doing some BVs as well, and there might also be one more person that I'll confirm. As well. But it'll be a stacked group of people.
Yeah, it sounds fantastic. And I was just wondering, for all of our listeners out there who want to be part of the arts or write music like what you do as well, just wondering if you have any advice for anyone who wants to be a part of this like community in this world that we get to be a part of.
Yeah, it's always hard giving advice because you want to like say the most poignant thing in the world, and I have not I've not figured out what that is yet, the most poignant thing. But I guess a thing that immediately comes to mind, I guess in relation to myself or my experiences, would be, I think the most useful thing that you can do is mess up, because that's something that I've done routinely. I've, bummed an audition that I wished I didn't, or I've screwed up singing a song in uni, or whatever it might be, or I got knocked back the first time I auditioned for courses, and that I think the most important thing you can do is mess up and then take a moment for yourself and then analyze, how do I want to approach that? Do I want to use that to spur me on to get better? Do I need to take a bit of a step back for a bit until I'm ready to come back to this? Is this a sign that maybe there's something in my practice I need to change or work on? I just think being able to treat those moments as an opportunity for growth and for self-discovery, and like as an opportunity almost, I think for longevity in a career is so useful. There are so many songs that I've written that were great at the time for me, and I look back on them and I go, nah, I don't like that anymore. That wasn't for me. But you know what? We tried it. Or there are things that I've done that I just go, maybe in the moment it wasn't great, and I look back on now and I'm like, oh, hey, that was all right. But I think being able to just look at it, all of it as an opportunity to say, like, I'm going to make so many mistakes, and that's the point. And I'm going to learn from them. I'm going to change from them. What I do today might not be what I like in a year. And what I do in a year, I might not have even thought possible at this point. I just think it's so important to, constantly be hungering for that growth, for the change, for the challenge. Because that's what I'm going to keep doing, and it's what I like. It's fun.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, Kaya, thank you so much.
Thanks, man.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's been killer. Thanks for coming along.
Yeah. Can't wait.
Be sure to check out
his.
Be sure to check out his launch.
Yeah, come along. Come to the Paris Cat on the 28th. Come check out Bella.
Get the tickets on his website.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Thanks, Kaya.
Thanks so much. Cheers.